Okay, this is part 2 of Wednesday's Read Aloud. So, where we ended in the last chapter, Hiroshi and Sky were working on the kite, and they painted the red circle on it, which is the symbol of the dragon's eye. And then they started to practice to see how it would fly. And it seemed like pretty successful by the end of the last chapter. Let's find out what happens when they get to the competition. All right, we're nearing the end of the story. I can't believe it. Chapter 37, from Sky's perspective. Walking across the wet grass of the National Mall, Sky willed her lunch to stay in her stomach. And remember, the National Mall is an area in Washington, D.C. that's near the Washington Monument and the Lincoln Memorial and all of those places that you can go as a tourist. It's also where all the cherry blossoms are. Okay. The mall, a wide strip of grass, stretched from the steps of the U.S. Capitol building all the way to the pencil-shaped Washington National Monument. Hundreds of kites in every color, some twice as big as Sky, flew near the base of the monument. Sky wanted to stay and see them all, but the Rokaku battle area was farther down the hill, and they still needed to register. They started down the hill towards an area with white open tents, tables, and lines of people. Sky noticed that the nearby cherry trees had lost most of their petals and wondered if she'd have enough time to pluck a few and put them in her pocket for luck. Because remember, the blossoms are a very brief period. They only bloom for about a week. A loudspeaker announcement drifted across the field. A brief pilots meeting will begin in 5 minutes at the Kite Hospital tent on the south side of the field. The cherry blossoms would have to wait. Sky and Hiroshi followed the signs for flyers while their parents wished them luck and headed for the spectator area. At the Kite Hospital tent, Sky looked around at the competition. Old people mostly, probably her parents' age. She didn't see any Japanese people, so she whispered to Hiroshi in Japanese, "What do you think?" She liked having a way to communicate without other people understanding, like a secret code. Hiroshi looked around. They'll have a lot of experience. Yeah, but so do you. Hiroshi didn't look convinced. No washi paper kites. He was right. All of the colorful six-sided kites were made of some nylon-looking material. Instead of bamboo, it looked like they had plastic tubing. Okay, time to begin. A man with a broad smile clapped his hands. He was wearing a baseball cap that said National Cherry Blossom Kite Festival and a matching sweatshirt. Cupping his hands around his mouth, he called, "Come on over, folks. We're ready to get started." Sky spotted two girls heading their way. Hey, she nudged Hiroshi. They look like they're our age. Hiroshi turned. You're right. They won't be experienced flyers. The man in the cap went over the rules. Lines no longer than 50 yards, gloves recommended, no intentional physical contact between contestants, 3 rounds of competition with 10 minutes to repair kites in between. Sky glanced at the sign that read, "No manja, no cutting line," and she frowned. "Good luck," the man said. "Please check in with the registration tent and let them know you're here, and we'll be getting underway in about 15 minutes. All the flyers headed towards the tent, and Sky and Hiroshi followed. "Did you get all of that?" Sky asked as she filled out her registration form. Hiroshi nodded. "I think so. It's the same as the rules back home." "So why can't we cut lines? I thought we were supposed to. And do we need gloves?" The guy said no intentional physical contact. But what if we bump into someone? Does that happen? Sky's stomach felt like it was upside down, but Hiroshi seemed calm. Manja are cutting lines that have been coated in glass or metal so they cut better. We're allowed to cut other flyers' lines, but we have to use regular line. Oh, that made sense. Running into a manja line sounded painful. And gloves, I never wear them. You'll have the reel, and I'll work the line with my hands. Some people wear gloves so their hands won't get cut. Regular line can cut you? Hiroshi shrugged. Not if you're careful. Grandfather never wore gloves. He always said that if you can feel the line, it will tell you what to do. Grandfather. I don't know if you can see us, Grandfather, but we sure could use a little assistance today. Mostly it's me who needs help, but keep an eye on Hiroshi too, just in case. All flyers, please report to the field, the loudspeaker announced. Wait, Sky said. What about bumping into other people? Does that happen? It can, but it would mostly be me since I'll be watching the kite, not where I'm going. Just follow me and let me know if I'm about to crash into anyone, okay? I'll let you know when I need more or less line. Okay, we can do this. Sky hoped she sounded more confident than she actually felt. She took one shaky breath, then followed the other flyers to the battle area. The contestants all spread out inside the roped-off area. Sky counted 22 kites on the field. Most people wore gloves, but not the two girls she had seen earlier. She smiled and nodded their way, but they didn't smile back. Maybe they hadn't seen her. The reel in her hand felt warm compared to the cool spring air, and she wrapped her fingers around the handles. Hiroshi inspected the winking dragon. When he looked at Sky, she gave him a thumbs up. We're ready, he said. Right, she answered and looked at the sky, hoping for some sign that Grandfather was watching. The voice over the loudspeaker brought Sky back down to earth. Good luck, and may the best kite win. The spectators clapped. Then the loudspeaker spat out one word. Launch! The flyers came to life, lifting their kites into the air. At Hiroshi's nod, Sky let out the line. A second later, Hiroshi stood facing the wind, holding the kite's bridle. He released it, and the winking dragon rose eagerly, climbing higher and higher. Sky backed up and let out more line. It's up! It's up! Sky did a few hops, but Hiroshi kept his eyes on the kite as he grabbed the climbing dragon's line. Engage! Boomed the loudspeaker, and the battle had begun. That's a very suspenseful ending to that chapter, but we'll stop there for E. And it looks like we just have 3 chapters left until the end of the story. All right, I'll see you on Friday for our last read aloud before spring break. We'll probably finish then. Bye.